Hey there, it's time for another What Sold video. I'll be going over 1 week's worth of sales in my resale business. It was a good week, 16 sales, high profit, and I got a little secret. I finally bit the bullet and started using a cross-listing sharing software. I've actually been doing that for over a month, but I wasn't in love with the software I was using, so I got a new one, and it's been a game changer in the last 2 days that I've been using it. And y'all, I think this is the one. If you're new here, hi, I'm JENNYSHANEYFELT. I am a part-time online clothing reseller. The way I do my business is I go to thrift stores. I dig through the racks and try to find great brands, great qualities, and sometimes it's not the brand or the quality, it's just the style. I love picking items that way too. I bring them home, photograph them, list them on eBay, Poshmark, and Depop, and hopefully sell them for a profit. Every single week I come on here and share with you what has sold, because when I first started and had no clue about fashion, clothes, fabrics, pricing, eBay, anything, it was videos just like this that helped me the most. So I love sharing, and I hope it's helpful to you in some way. All right, so let's get into these sales. The first item I regretted buying as soon as I brought it home and photographed it, because it just did not look cute on the hanger, and it did sit for 263 days, but ended up selling for more than I thought it would. I titled it Chico's Women Large Neutral Gray Floral Top Flowy Boxy Sheer Overlay Lagging Look. I bought it for $2.41. I listed it for $25. I sent someone a $19 offer 263 days after listing it, and they accepted. That gave me a profit of $12.89. Okay, next, I told y'all recently I've been sharing a good many little black dresses, and this was another one of those. I titled it Classic Little Black Dress, 100% silk, midi, women's 8, drape neck, cocktail party. The brand was Jones, New York. I picked this one up based off style. I paid $2.50. I listed it for $33. 15 days later, the buyer offered me $22. I accepted. That was a profit of $16.05. This one is from my accidental haul where I was going to the post office and I saw they were having like a little outdoor yard sale at this little, I guess you would call it a strip mall. It's not big enough to be a strip mall, but this little businessy thing in my little country town. They had several formals. I found a Gunny Sacks dress and this dress that I knew that I really wanted. Gunny Sacks, of course, for the brand, but this one because of the Y2K style. And so I asked him how much for the dresses, and he said, you can pay $50 for one or $50 to take them all. I wasn't crazy about the idea of bringing 50 formals home because where was I going to put them? But I thought it was a no-brainer. I had to do it, and it has made me a lot of money. Let me tell you how much it's made me so far. Let me bring up my little spreadsheet here. And I got some questions the other day about my spreadsheet. It is just, why is this not coming up? It is just, I want to call it Excel spreadsheet, but it's not Excel because it's on a MacBook. I think they call it Numbers. The program is called Numbers. It's just this one that I created for myself to keep up with everything. So far, off of that accidental thrift haul, I have made $637 profit. So I'm so glad that I stopped that day. So this was one of those dresses, and I titled it Vintage Y2K 90s Formal One Shoulder Dress, Women's 6 Beaded Maroon Dark Fairy Whimsical. It was so beautiful. This was definitely one I was thankful that I had my Mannequin for, because that one shoulder type deal does not do well. It's so hard to get it to look good on a hanger. There's your vintage brand tag. So I had $1.25 into this dress. I listed it for $169, and 108 days later, someone paid full price. It was also an international sale, which I was super excited about. So for this one dress, I paid $1.25, and my profit was $149.89. I love it. I love reselling. Okay, next was a Depop sale. I titled this one Intimately Free People, Sheer Burnout Waffle Knit Top, Women's Large, You and I was the style name, long sleeve. There's your Intimately Free People tag. I paid $4 for this. I listed it for $24. 11 days later, the buyer offered $19. That gave me a profit of $13.71. Next was a piece my sister gave to me. This was Pilcrow Anthropology Distressed Gray Sweatshirt, Women's Medium, Boho Grunge, Raglan Sleeve. You know what raglan sleeve is? I didn't. Raglan, if you can see, let me go back to the front of it. It's where there's not a seam on the shoulder. It's like the sleeve all the way up to the neckline is one piece of fabric. So instead of the seam being right here, it more comes this way. But you can see that here in this picture. Sometimes on a raglan shirt, the sleeves are a different color, but it's still considered raglan, even if it is all the same color. So I had no money into it. I listed it for $30. It took 64 days to sell. I had sent someone a $27 offer. They accepted. That gave me a profit of $22.30. Thanks, sister. Next, just a minimalist, good quality piece. Those are some of my favorite things to pick up. I titled it J. Jill Petite Medium Black Luxe Supima Everyday Turtleneck Tunic Top Luxury. I paid $2. I listed it for $30. It was listed for 213 days, so I probably listed it at the end of the colder months last year, and now we're going back into the colder months, so all that stuff that has sat for a while is starting to sell. The seller countered an offer that I had sent them. It was probably 10% off. They came back with $25. I accepted. That gave me a profit of $19.58. This one got tons of interest on all platforms immediately. It only took 7 days to sell. I titled it Vintage Y2K Sheer Black Top, Small, Whimsy Goth, Vamp, Goth, Mesh, Long Sleeve. Cachet. I wanted to pause here on this tag. Cachet is a good brand to look out for. I paid $3.30. I listed it for $28. I offered someone $25 and they accepted. That gave me a profit of $16.70. I actually think I could have listed this higher, waited a little bit longer, and gotten a lot more for it. Next, Miss Me. Some Miss Me jeans with the blingy pockets can sell for really high, but this one did not look like it was going for that much, and there were several listed in the same size, so I did price a little bit lower to get it moving. Jeans are not my favorite thing to sell, and I think it's because I don't enjoy flipping through the blue jean rack at the thrift store because I feel like I'm looking at the same thing over and over. Blue denim, blue denim, blue denim, blue denim. And I haven't taken the time to know enough about it. I've sold a pair of mother jeans. I know that's a good one to look out for. Sometimes Miss Me. Really, other than that, what are your favorite jean brands to sell? I know there's some Levi's with a certain number that sell well. Y'all tell me, what jeans do you love to sell? I titled these Miss Me Women's 29, which converts to a size 8. Dark blue jeans, denim, boot cut, bling, embellished fleur-de-lis. That's what that design is on the pocket, a fleur-de-lis. I tried to get real close to the pocket, take a real detailed up-close picture. I probably could have put Y2K in there. This is definite Y2K style. I paid $6.17 for these. I went back and forth on that. They had them priced at $12 at the thrift store, but it was a half price sale. I listed it for $35. The buyer offered $29. This was 29 days after it was listed, and that gave me a profit of $17.03. Next, we have Chico's Women's Small Long Duster Cardigan, Geometric, Earth Tones, Boho, Preppy, Old Money. This one took 231 days to sell. I paid $1.74. I listed it for $28. Okay, looks like this is going into the weekend. The Miss Me jeans were the first sale of the weekend. So on the weekends, I always do a tiered sale. If they've been listed for just a little while, well, if they just got listed, they're not on sale at all. But if they've been listed for 3 days or more, I put them on 10% off. And if they've been listed for longer, they're 15% off, and longer than that, then it's 20% off. So this weekend, I accidentally typed in 30% instead of 20, and I was like, oh heck, I'll just leave it there, see what happens. So I did get some sales off of it, and I was glad to see this one go because it had sat for so long. So this one went for 30% off, and that was $19.60. That gave me a profit of $14.80. Next was another little black dress. This one I titled New with Tags, Vintage, Y2K, 90s, Jones, New York, Women's 12, little black dress, cocktail short. I paid 31 cents for this at a bag sale. I listed it for 33. 209 days later, someone sent me an offer. I countered at 22. They accepted. That gave me a profit of $18.19. Next, I think last week we had an equestrian themed dress. This week we have equestrian themed button shirt. So I titled this one Talbot's Women's 14 Large, red equestrian button shirt, horse, harness, bit, bridle. Throw those horsey words in there. This one sat for 340 days, which I was really shocked by. I expected it to sell faster, but I paid $3.15. I listed it for $33. The buyer offered me $18. That gave me a profit of $11.36. This one was one I picked up based off of style. I thought it was super cute. I love anything I can stick the word cottagecore in. It was Cable and Gauge. Don't know if I've ever picked that brand up before. I bought it based off of style. I titled it Full Lace Top, Women's Medium, Long Smocked Sleeve, Victorian, Cottagecore, Ruffle, Romantic. I paid $3.99. I listed it for $25. It was 15% off that weekend, and someone snagged it up at that price. $21.25 is what they paid for it. That was 39 days after it was listed, and that gave me a profit of $13.19. Next, this was one that I got a lot of immediate interest in. I priced it higher than most of the maxi skirts that I list, and I love listing maxi skirts. It was just so unique and full and substantial. I knew that I could get a little bit more than normal for this one. I titled it Women's XXL Peasant Maxi Skirt, Prairie Embroidered, Cottagecore, Brown, Boho, Hippie. Here's your brand tag. I don't know what that is. YOL. Definitely picked it up based off the style. It sat for 134 days. I paid $3.15. I listed it for $49. And just because it had been listed so long, it had made it to that 30% off point, which was an accident. It was supposed to have been 20%, but still I got $34.30 for it, so that's not bad at all. That gave me a profit of $25.63. Next, we have Clark's Artisan Women's 6.5 Black Leather Booty Ankle Boots Active Air Comfort. I normally do not pick up that small of a size, but they were in basically new condition, and I think that was like a slow day. Like I wasn't finding a whole lot, so I did go ahead and get them, but it turned out all right. They did take 266 days to sell though. I paid $4.99 at the Goodwill. I listed them for $35. The buyer offered $25. I accepted. That gave me a profit of $15.01. Next, we have a men's item. I don't sell many men's things, so it's exciting when I do. I don't buy many men's things to sell, but I titled this one Martin Men's Medium 100% Italian Cashmere Sweater, quarter zip, maroon, red, golf luxury. Here's your tag. I don't know much about this brand. I was drawn to the fact that it was cashmere, and that's one of the fabrics that I definitely look for. I paid $5.99. It sold in 241 days, and I had listed it at $39, and it was 30% off that weekend. So someone got it at that price, which was $27.30. That gave me a profit of $17.63. And last but not least, we have quince. I don't find quince much. I think I might have found it twice, but it is a good one. If you run across it, you're going to want to run the comps for sure. Sleeveless long midi dress, pockets, women's navy blue, fit and flare tank. It was really full and the fabric was really stretchy. It wasn't quite like the liquid knit that I talk about a lot, but it was like I think it was cotton. Yeah, well, lyocell. I paid $2.50 for this. I listed it for $33. The buyer offered me $25, and it had been 91 days. Going into the colder months, I was happy to accept that. That gave me a profit of $18.80. All right, let's go into the profit breakdown for these items for this week. But before I get into the profits, let me ask you, are you subscribed yet? If you're not, I hope that you'll consider subscribing. Of course, it's free. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. You can hit the bell icon, and when you do that, it notifies you every time I release a new video. And it really helps me out too if you'll hit that like button. That's one of the ways that you can support this channel and help me grow, and I'm so appreciative. And if there's anyone that you can think of that might benefit from adding reselling to their life, you can hit that little arrow button. That's the share button, and you can send this video to them. Please and thank you, and I just love you guys so much. All right, so this week I had 16 sales. 12 were on eBay, 3 were on Poshmark, 1 was on Depop. The total amount that my customers paid in sales plus shipping. Oh, you know what? I had somebody the other day that asked me about shipping. Something I had said on my video made her think that I did free shipping for my customers. So let me talk about that real quick. I don't do free shipping. I actually usually make a little bit off of shipping if it's an eBay sale. Not much, usually a couple cents, but it adds up. Actually, I did the math this week. Okay, so my customers total, they paid for this week $112.76 in shipping. I paid $98.11 in shipping. So what did I make? Like whatever 112 minus 98 is. That profit just came from shipping. So what is that? Like $13, $14? So how do I do my shipping? Let me tell you. First of all, if you're kind of new to this, or if you don't use all of these platforms, you may not realize that all the shipping is different on all the platforms. So let me see if I can explain this in a non-confusing way. So on Poshmark, when you are listing it, you do not set a shipping price. Poshmark does that for you. You can offer a shipping discount, but I don't. They used to charge the customer like $8 and something, but they've recently changed it to $6.49. So that's good. That'll probably help increase their Poshmark sales because they're not having to pay as much for shipping. So then you never see that money. Poshmark does not pay that $6.49 in shipping to you. But then also when you print your shipping label for Poshmark, you're not charged for that. As long as your package, your whole packaged up package is not over $5. So you don't receive the money that the customer paid for shipping, but you don't have to pay for shipping either. So on Poshmark, you just look at the sold price really. And also on Poshmark, you can use the post office's free shipping supplies. You can order them and they're no charge. It has to be this USPS Ground Advantage. They recently changed this too. It used to be sent through priority mail on Poshmark, but this is a very new change. And there's all kind of boxes and packages. They're this brown color and they're free. Okay, so hopefully that explains Poshmark shipping. If y'all have any questions, let me know. On Depop, when you are listing the item, you have to put in what your fully packaged item will weigh. And there's categories. It's like under 1 pound, under 12 ounces, under 5 ounces, under 2 pounds, and under 12 pounds, I think. And maybe there's one for bigger than that, but I never ship anything higher than that. So then it charges the customer based off of what you've put that weight in. But again, just like Poshmark, you never see that money. That shipping that they pay does not come to you. And then when you print your shipping label, you're not charged for that shipping label. So a little bit different, but kind of the same. They don't have the free shipping supplies though. But on eBay, don't get intimidated. It's a little bit different, a little bit more options. And I think sometimes people are overwhelmed just by having the options. I know I am. But as you're listing your item on eBay, what I do is I do calculated shipping. You can just do a flat rate and say, I charge this amount for all my items, or no matter, because so I live in North Alabama. If I'm shipping to Washington State, it's going to cost the post office a whole lot more in gas and whatever to ship that item to Washington State than it would be if I was shipping something to Georgia. So they charge more based off of how far the item is traveling, how large the item is, how much the item weighs. And so I don't want to say that I'm charging $5 no matter who purchases it, and then I have to ship it to California and I end up losing money on shipping. So I don't do flat rate. I don't do free shipping. I do calculated shipping. So what that looks like is, as you're listing, near the bottom of all the stuff that you have to enter, you put in the dimensions. You do length, width, and height of the package and weight. So if you're going to do calculated shipping, you have to put that in. It will populate what it thinks that item might weigh, but a lot of times it's wrong, so don't use that. So I have my little shipping scale, and I go, like if it's a clothing item, and I know that I'm going to ship it out in one of these or one of my poly mailers, I weigh. I don't go ahead and package it up. That would just be crazy to me. Maybe some of y'all do that and that works. Good for you, but that would be crazy for me. I just weigh the item and I add 5 additional ounces. I know that 5 ounces will be more than enough to cover the packing material, the paper that I wrap it in, and the weight of the shipping label, because it has to be the weight of the finished package. So I add the 5 ounces, and then I just guesstimate what the dimensions will be. If it's something that I'm going to put in a box, I will usually go ahead and put it in that box, make sure that it fits, measure the dimensions of the box, and then put that in. And I always overestimate, and that's how I end up making a little bit off of shipping. So on Depop and Poshmark, remember how I said the money that the customer pays for shipping never comes to me, and I don't pay for the shipping label? So it's like the shipping is just out of my hands. I don't have to deal with it. Well, it's different on eBay. So when the customer pays for the item, eBay goes ahead and gives you what they paid for the item and what they paid for shipping. Of course, minus the platform fees and stuff, promoted listings or whatever, if you did that. I hope this is making sense. So eBay might pay me $20. They're giving me maybe the $15 that they paid for the item plus the $5 that they paid for shipping. But then I have to turn around and pay out of that money. I have to pay for shipping. And you can purchase that shipping label through eBay, and if you do, you get a pretty good discount. So they may pay me $5 for shipping, but then I am only paying like $4.50 for shipping. So that's how it adds up to a profit for me. So I hope that makes sense. Do I need to do a video with visuals to show you guys what I'm talking about? If you think that would be helpful, please let me know, because I love video ideas, anything that would be helpful. Or does that make sense? I feel like if I was brand new to reselling and I just listened to all that, I would be like, what did she just say? Like, let me get my notebook and take notes, and that probably still wouldn't help. So maybe I need to break that down a little bit better. But there's your answer. No, I do not do free shipping. Shipping's a little bit different on each platform, but I promise you it may seem a little bit intimidating, especially in the beginning on eBay, but it's easy to learn. It really is. All right, back to what I was saying about my profit breakdown. So now when I say this, now having explained the shipping, hopefully this will make more sense. So the total that my customers paid in sales plus the shipping for this week was $640.21. Now, each platform has their own fees that they charge. The fee is taken out after the sale takes place, and they took out $91.89. The shipping that I had to turn around and then pay was $98.11. That brought my earnings to $450.21. But to find my true profit, I have to take out the cost of these items. What did I initially pay for them in the thrift store? And for these 16 items, I paid $47.45. That brought my profit for this week to $402.76. It was a pretty great week. I hope your week is going amazing. I hope you found some value in this video. If you did, please subscribe, please hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.